Hi guys, yeah, so this is the second part in the series. If you've not watched the first video, this is a continuation of that video, and I was talking about doing a master's in Dublin, Ireland. And so yeah, in the last video or in this series, I stopped at the part where you have applied for your visa and you're waiting for the response, but then you booked your accommodation and hoping to resume in Ireland, whether Dublin, Limerick, Cork, or any part of Ireland. Okay, and yeah, so do well to share your experience or your response to that video. Let me know if it's been of help to you. But this is the second part in that series, and in this part I'm going to be I'm considering that you are now in Ireland, and if you are, congratulations on taking a very bold step. It's a very bold one to do your master's degree in Ireland, or in Dublin, Limerick, Cork, or any part of Ireland. And I want to say, yes, it might seem sometimes daunting. You might feel overwhelmed because it's a big project and this is just the beginning. So welcome. And so I'm going to be walking you through some of the first things you should get doing if you have arrived, some of the things you should get onto immediately to get yourself settled in, especially within the first 2 weeks. So some of the things I'm going to be saying in this video, you should do within your first 2 weeks of arrival. Okay. So yes, so if you came in, you must have gone through the airport and they must have stamped your passport for maybe 3 months only, until you get to register with the Irish Immigration Agency. So yeah, you must be wondering why 3 months. So that is given to you to give you a window to do your IRP registration. It's called Irish Residency Permit. So that's primary. Okay, if you have come into Dublin, you should begin to search for an appointment for an IRP meeting, to get yourself registered with the Irish Residency Permit system. It used to be called GNIB, but now it's called IRP, and it's done with a booking system. But at the time of this video, because of the pandemic, I think that registration is now online. So find that link and see what you need to do. I think you might need to apply and maybe post your passport to them with your necessary documents, which will include your admission letter, your school fees receipt, fully paid. It should be fully paid. I said in the last video that you can pay 60% before your visa application, but once you have received your visa, you need to complete your payment before arriving in Dublin or in Ireland. So yes, I don't know what the situation would be at the time of this video, but right now I think it's purely online. But you just need to post your documents to them and get it returned to you when it's completed. So that's one thing. The second one is you need to get your PPS appointment. So the PPS is more like a public service number that allows you to work. It's also how your tax is traced. A lot of things are traced through that number. So you need to get that appointment done, and it is also online. So search PPS appointment and get your registration booked in. I assume that you might also have to post stuff, to them to be able to do that, or it might just be an all fully online process, but it depends on the time when you're watching this video. At the time when I came into Ireland, you just went on to book an appointment and then you went in physically to the office in Dublin too. But I think at this point it is purely online. So it depends on when you're going to be watching this video, but just search PPS appointment and you'll see what you need to do. It's pretty straightforward, and then they would also send you a card. So you're going to have another card. So you have the first one, the IRP card, which will be given to you after you've done your GNIB or IRP booking. The second one is the PPS card, which is your public service card, which allows you to work. it's necessary. The other one is for immigration. This one is for work. And then if you are also within your first 2 weeks, and one other thing you should be doing is your leap card. So go to leapcard.ie and try to register for your leap card. For some schools, you might have a system where it's already done for you in your university, so you can find out. But even if you don't get to do it through your university, if you go do it yourself, it's still the same thing. Once you have your leap card, it just allows you to be able to access the bus network, transport network in Ireland, whether bus, tram, LUAS, whichever one that you want to use. And I think for the student card, you're applying for a student leap card, and the student leap card has some discount. So I think for a bus, you have a cap of €5 a day. So if you join the bus, let's say you go on a trip, the first trip is €2.50, for example. The next trip is €3, altogether is €5.50. You're only going to be charged €5, and any other trip you take on that day will be totally free on that card. So you can just keep joining the bus. And I think for the LUAS, it's about €7, I think, for a day. And for the bus, for students, I think it's €20 for a week. So if you join 4 days, every other day within that 7-day period is totally free. So these are part of the things you get as a student, once you have your student ID. So yeah, before you go for the leap card, you should have your student ID. So find out from your university. You must have had an orientation meeting, and you'll be told what to do to get your ID. So I mean, this is COVID. In this COVID era, it might be online, I don't know, but yeah, I'm sure the schools will relay the information to you. You get to meet your classmates, get to meet your lecturers, get to know what you'll be doing and preparing yourself for studies. And I guess it's also exciting to be going on with studies. It might be on Zoom. Unfortunately, it might be on Zoom. I hope it's not for you by the time you're watching this video. But if it isn't on Zoom, then at least you get to stay in the classroom with others and enjoy the ambience of the university. The lecturers get to ask questions, in a much more wonderful environment. But if it is online, get with the flow, enjoy it whichever way. It is your education. Please don't joke with it, whichever way it is delivered. It is your education. You have paid for it. Okay, it's your money, so take advantage of it. So one last thing I'm going to be saying in this video is your accommodation. In the last video, I said book a hostel accommodation for at least 2 weeks, when you're coming in, so that it gives you room to be able to search for accommodation when you are at. Then I would say the next thing you should do, I'll encourage you to do, is go on daft.ie or rent.ie. These two platforms have places where you see the listings of available accommodation in Dublin or in Ireland, wherever you're trying to find an accommodation in Ireland. Daft, daft.ie or rent, rent.ie. I think if you're outside of Ireland, you might not be able to open these sites that I'm calling now because they're locked onto IP addresses from Ireland. But the moment you're in Ireland, you should be able to access them. So go there and find an accommodation close to your university. It is best if it's close to your university, but even if, find a good place that you can stay and that fits your budget. You can sort the filters to suit your budget and find a good accommodation. Most of the accommodations in Dublin, you might be staying with a family. You might just be renting a room within a house. That's how it works. For an average of, I'd say, from between €350 to 500 or even €600, depending on the nature of the accommodation. But I'd say for a student, just have budget around €400 to €500 to get something at least comfortable and yet not too pricey, but at least somewhere livable, somewhere you would have the kind of environment you want to be able to study effectively and achieve your goal. Remember, it's your education, you have paid for it. It's best you take maximum advantage of it. So yeah, when you do that, you also want to check how close your accommodation is to to your place of study or lecture. If it's online, then fine. But yeah, when you find the accommodation on any of these sites, you can call them. It works best if you call, to be honest. Dropping messages, sometimes you're delayed, but if you find a good place you like, just take the number, call them up immediately and book an appointment to go see the place. Once you see it, you like it, you can make a deposit and get your keys. That's straightforward. You can also find accommodation on Facebook Marketplace. If you're on Facebook and Facebook has found out, of course, with your location that you're now in Dublin, if you go to Marketplace on Facebook, you will see, suggestions about accommodation near you, which works pretty cool, and you find very good accommodation. So I found a lot of houses using Facebook Marketplace, and it's faster, it's great. Messenger, you just send them a message and get a number and call and pick it up from there. And when I talk about calling, yes, you might ask, how do I call? At the point when you come into the airport, you might find any of the networks that are in Ireland to be able to register yourself and get a SIM card. There are lots of networks in Ireland. There's Tree network, there's Vodafone, there's Air. I use Tree and Vodafone. One is Vodafone for work, Tree for personal. Vodafone gives you 20 gig a month internet, and then I think unlimited calls to Vodafone numbers. But I think Tree gives you about 60 gig, which is almost like unlimited internet for a month, and then free Tree to Tree calls. So you just find out which one suits you in terms of cost. They all have different monthly subscriptions. I think there are new ones that are beginning to come out. There is 48. I think they have a much lower cost for monthly. So check up all the networks and find which one is cheaper or which one offers the best. Tesco even has a network that also has cheap call rates, and but I don't know how their internet works. So you just find which one works. And sometimes it's also, by the time you get to know people, you see that maybe if the people in your network have a particular line, it just works best in calling them. Or find anyone that gives you unlimited internet. Once you have internet, you can always call people on WhatsApp, which is great. And you might have Wi-Fi in your house as well. So yeah, in the next video, I'm going to be sharing how to plan for your dissertation, how to plan work and study, how to balance fun and study, work and study, and planning for your dissertation, planning your life entirely when you come for your studies, which is very important to making a good grade and making the best use of the time when you're here. But let me know how helpful this has been. I'm going to drop the links to each of these registrations I have called or mentioned in the description sections, just so it makes it easier for you to be able to get these appointments. I'm going to drop the links for you, but this is to help you in getting settled when you come into Ireland, particularly Dublin. Please, for some of the things I mentioned, they might be specific to Dublin, but most of them are applicable in any part of Ireland, But let me know how this video has been of help to you, and I hope it has been of great help to you, and I look forward to also doing more of this. Thank you very much.